winner of the Guildford Design Award for the public realm are the 3 garden spaces which surround Hilltop at the RHS at Wisley. And the judges were particularly pleased with this project because it created 3 distinct garden areas which complement the building and attract people to go to and from the building and out into the spaces. And each of the gardens has its own particular character. The Wellbeing garden is particularly interesting because it encourages people to experience garden features of planting and water, and it's a contrast to the strength and power of the architecture. I'm delighted to be here today with Matthew Pottage, the curator of the gardens at Wisley, and I'm going to be asking him a few key questions about the gardens. So when you started with the project, what were the principal objectives that you wanted to address when you were considering the garden spaces?
We wanted to work closely with our science team, so really connect the inside of the building with the gardens outside and how the horticulture underpins and supports some of our scientific work. So gardens as a nature reserve, how horticulture gardening can support wildlife, can support biodiversity, so hence the wildlife garden. And then horticulture and well-being, gardening and well-being, mental well-being, how different planting styles, colours, scents, textures can support your mental well-being in an outdoor space. So the Wellbeing garden. And then we really wanted to bring fruit, veg and herb together, talk about healthy eating, talk about what you can grow at home, but not just maybe your traditional potatoes, cabbages, carrots that everyone knows about, but a wider range. So there is some trial and some experimentation in the food garden.
And when you were getting into the project and things were underway, which were the real challenges that you had to take on board to create the spaces?
There is really how you move from more of a scientific theory or piece of work to a garden that looks really beautiful, that if people maybe aren't so interested in the science behind it, they will still come here and think this is a gorgeous space. I could take some of this planting style home, this inspires me for home. And also this is such a huge volume of change. Wisley is much loved, much visited. We have gone through quite a lot of changes with all our new entrance and our welcome building. And this site, it's several acres. We're closing it all off. It's a building site for, a number of years. So it's bringing the visitors on that journey, explaining what we're doing. And when people see a huge building going up behind terrace fencing and hoarding, sometimes they think, this is a garden. Shouldn't this be about plants and gardens? What's the garden element going to be? So trying to share and communicate and say to people, there's 3 massive, exciting gardens coming here. Bear with us. Keeping them engaged, them on board, and they need to grow to love this and nurture it as part of the wider Wisley too.
And now that you've finished the project and you come back to it and all of those challenges have been addressed, which aspects of the project give you the most delight?
For me, the whole Hilltop site knits together a big part of Wisley that I didn't really feel worked before from a landscape point of view and as the curator of the site, because before we had the remains of an old glasshouse site, we had a tractor yard, we had a service yard, we had a small cafe that was really quite too small for the scale of what we offer now, and it just felt like lots of little unplanned back of house functions. So you could be on Battleston Hill, lovely woodland garden nearby, and you come across a gate that says no further please. You're in the orchard but you're partly cut off by a load of tractor sheds. The whole space didn't knit together very well. So removing all those back of house facilities, placing this gorgeous building as a centrepiece, and then knitting the whole landscape together, it just makes so much more sense.